So here we are on part 21 of my Around the Kent Coast Cycling Challenge. It's great to have you back. Today we've just left Seasalter and we're heading on towards Whitstable and Herne Bay. We're actually currently walking out to the North Sea. I'm just going to pan around so you can see. But the tide is quite a way out, so it kind of enables us to walk along this kind of rugged seabed. I've got out this far and I haven't sunk yet, so that's always a good thing. But it's really interesting to see a lot of sea creatures and sea wildlife as we pan around here along the seashore. Very interesting. I'm just going to pan around so you can see Seasalter where we've just left, and we're heading on towards Whitstable, which is just in the distance. Right, let's get going. So we found a nice quiet spot on the side of Whitstable Harbour here. So if I pan round, you may just see the Whitstable oyster beds kind of out in the distance. Now, the interesting thing about Whitstable is it's very well known for its oyster production. It's actually world famous for the oysters it produces. So back in many years ago when I was at agricultural college, we actually looked at alternative farming methods, and we actually had a trip out on a boat over the oyster beds as they harvested them. It's very interesting. So let's go and have a closer look at that now. Now, one of the interesting parts of today's journey was actually travelling through Whitstable Harbour and seeing what's going on there. It's very much a tourist attraction now, with lots of people visiting today being a Sunday. But the history of Whitstable Harbour is actually quite interesting. So it is always related to Canterbury. It was kind of the main port for Canterbury. Now, Canterbury was or still is quite an important town, and kind of many years ago it used to kind of rely on kind of freight coming in by boat. Now, originally this was done up the River Stour, which kind of run from Canterbury to the sea, I believe near Sandwich Way. But the problem with this, the River Stour actually silted up quite badly. So they had to kind of rely on a different means of kind of getting goods from sea to Canterbury, and the answer to that was the Whitstable docks. So that's kind of how it was formed. So once the goods arrived at Whitstable Harbour, they were transported to Canterbury along a railway line which ran between Whitstable and Canterbury. Now, this railway line has kind of been superseded by modern forms of transport, but the old railway line, you can actually cycle along it. It's quite a famous cycleway called the Crab and Winkle Way. Now, I've been meaning to cycle this for about 2 years and I haven't got around to it yet, but I do hopefully intend to do it this year at some point. It's supposed to be a very nice kind of cycle route. So yeah, that's an interesting bit of history about Whitstable Harbour. Let's carry on around the coast. Another interesting point I found about Whitstable is that it's almost divided into two by a big kind of factory factory, which is kind of Brett asphalt, which kind of where they produce asphalt and bring a lot of kind of raw materials in from the sea. It's kind of a little port there. But I almost think it's a bit of a shame actually, because it does tend to divide the town into two. And the actual factory, the way it kind of sits on the seafront, if it wasn't there, I always feel that the harbour could really be extended, and the facilities in Whitstable could really be improved and make a real tourist hub. I mean, it's really nice at the moment, but I think that'd be a great way to improve it, is kind of take over that factory and make it a really nice seaside town. So that's my advice for the planners. I'm sure Brett, who own it, wouldn't like that idea, but there you go. Let's carry on around the coast. So we've now left Whitstable and we're actually coming along to Tankerton. You'll see the beach huts behind me of the start of Tankerton. Now there is actually a race going on. I'm just going to pan round. You may see the runners run along the seafront here. I'm not sure how long the race is. I think from what memory, I think it's a 10-mile race today. Could be a 10-kilometre race, but I don't know. As we pan out to sea, you'll see what they call the Whitstable Street. There's not much of it at the moment, but this does actually, when the tide is right out, there's kind of jetty, a natural jetty that goes right out to sea. From what I've read, there's no one really knows what caused this. I guess it's the effect of the tides and how the tides kind of put the shingle together. But yeah, it's very interesting. Right, let's carry on towards Tankerton. So thanks for joining me today. This is the end of part 21. So we've just passed through Tankerton, which is now over my left shoulder. You may see it. Next week we'll be heading on towards Herne Bay as I spin round and give you a view of Herne Bay in the distance. There you go. Now that's going to be an exciting episode. Join me next week.